Hello everybody, my name is Naya and I'm the Black female engineer, and I'm also a girly girl. I love makeup, I love fashion, I love dressing up, I love colors and sparkle and all of that. And if you're a fellow girly girl, you may think that tech isn't for you or that tech doesn't want you. And I hope that through this video, I teach you something completely opposite, and I may encourage you to maybe, I don't know, maybe do the thing that maybe you've been thinking about if you've been pondering code or pondering tech or what that life would be like. I'm gonna do my makeup during this conversation, and so let's go and get unready. Okay, I'm gonna start out with some sunscreen, as y'all should always do. Quick warning, the sunscreen I have is one of Supergoop's sunscreens, but it doesn't really blend well to my skin tone, so you're gonna see a white cast on me after applying that, so please bear with me. This is, yeah, it's the Glow Screen SPF 40. And I'm really shocked that it doesn't blend well to my skin tone because it starts off with like a tannish pigment, but it said this is the pigment you will end with. I've loved makeup since I was a kid. Like, I remember the first time I tried makeup on was probably when I was like 7 or 8, but it wasn't until I was 13 that I was fully allowed to start exploring with makeup. Like many Black women, mother was Jackie Aina, and so I really appreciate her and people like Patricia Bright and even just, yeah, maybe non-people of color women who just helped me perfect my makeup game. I really appreciate it. But this love for makeup is something that is very much often attributed to girly girls. Love for makeup, love for style, aesthetics, things like that. And I don't mind it at all. What I do mind is then this notion of, oh, you're a girly girl, and so therefore you probably aren't good at X. You probably aren't interested in Y, things like that. One thing that helps me, because stereotypes are often just infuriating and not fun to deal with, but one thing that does help me is thinking about like, okay, why did this stereotype come to be? And I thought about this with STEM and with girly girls who still love to code and want to be part of tech very much, or don't even know that they want to be part of tech because they've never even considered it because of the box other people have put them in. And I was like, you know what? There was a solid amount of time in America, at the very least, but in many parts of the world, where women weren't granted the opportunity for education. The norm was men get an education and they provide, and women are the homekeepers and raise children and things like that. And then when women were provided the opportunity and the legal right to an education, that switched things up. It allowed women to, yes, get more education. But at the same time, there were also more opportunities for getting your own money as a woman and being more independent as a woman and really moving away from a man needing to provide you all of those things. And the reason this is important is because that means that at a certain time, a woman seeking an education was a woman doing the thing that the men did. A woman seeking to learn and to work and things like that was going against their pre-provided notions of what a woman is. And so now fast forward to 2023, and we have terms like girly girl and things like that, and those types of terms, in my opinion, aren't like inherently bad. Where it gets bad is saying that I can't do something, but like we'll get back to that. But to be a girly girl on its like face means to be really, really deep rooted in womanhood or girlhood, and there was a solid amount of time there where girlhood meant not getting an education. Girlhood meant not working and making your own money. And so I'm not saying it's right, but like I said, knowing where certain stereotypes come from, it does help me, because it helps me remove myself from saying, okay, so-and-so person is just an asshole. It removes myself from saying, it's like, no, it's not necessarily that so-and-so is simply just an asshole, but the world in general, this is what's happening, and like what has been granted is the newer model. But here's the thing, it's 2023, and so if you're 32-year-old Jack over there saying, oh, that's weird that you want to be in tech because you're such a girly girl, like, no, it's 2023, my guy, like, what the hell. But I did want to provide that initial thought process I had. That being said, screw that, it's 2023, and you can be a girly girl and like tech. You can be a girly girl and want to work full time and want to be in, the gaming industry and things like that. Like, again, it's 2023. I'm pretty sure many people know this, but for some reason, it's one of those things that even if people know it conceptually, it's not necessarily practiced enough still for people to have to face it head on. Men haven't really had to face it, even though they know conceptually what is allowed in the society and what's encouraged in the society. They've never had to face it. And so when it's time to face it, that's when being loose with the tongue occurs. And that's where the truth really comes out about what they really think about certain things, So, ladies, how do we have men and people? Because there are also plenty of other people who aren't men that constantly say things that makes one think like, oh, are you saying that girly girls can't do this or that? So it's not just men. I'm not trying to make this like a man versus woman thing, because it's definitely not just men. But ladies, girly girls, how do we help our fellow mates who think such things? Well, you gotta make it not weird anymore. How do you do this? Well, step one is learn to code. Now I'm gonna go over a whole girly girls guide to tech. Some of these notes I have, some of these tips I have will be specific to girly girls, but some will not be. One of the very first things that will not be is that advice of learn to code. Whether you're a girly girl or not, you got to learn to code. You gotta learn some of the most popular languages being used in tech today. This looks harsh now. Give it a moment, okay? You gotta trust the process. I like to sculpt out where the natural shadows of my face are. So like I have a natural, you can't really see it now, but I have a natural dark like indent right here, like a natural contour. And so I like to contour just above it and then sculpt it through like this way, because when you see my face without makeup, and maybe you guys saw it, naturally that's how my face and the like dark contours of my face go, especially when the light's hitting it and things like that. So I like to add that with the contour stick. See, so that's the side. Now let's bend out this side. And you know what the gag is with all of this, with the notion of like, oh, girly girls can't possibly be as good or better at tech or in code than other people. The gag is there's so many traits that girly girls do have that would actually make them a phenomenal developer. For example, Girly girls are often extremely detail oriented. You see me with my beauty blender, you see me going over every specific spot on my face that I want to pay attention to. You see the time I'm putting to everything because I care about each specific detail. Girly girls are often extremely detail oriented, and it can be honestly the trait that makes or breaks a coder or a future coder. This ability to look at things so granularly and solve problems and just understand the need for such attention for the bigger concept, for the bigger picture. If we're talking about stereotypes and things like that, over the years, girly girls and like girls in general have been made fun of for being sensitive or crying and things like that. But I think many of us have been able to see like now that it's like, no, that's not really something to make fun of. In a place where we're caring about the user experience, that matters. Being able to be empathetic with a user's experience really, really matters in the tech world. A person, a developer, being able to put themselves into an end user's shoes is a skill that saves millions of dollars. The amount of tech tragedies that could have been avoided if somebody was just thinking about the end user first, it's absurd. And so, no, don't think that me or other people, when we say like, no, girly girls could be actually are and could be phenomenal developers, that's not just something to be taken lightly. Like that's something that I'm fully saying with my chest because of all of these traits that exist within girly girls, you know? Even something that seems more maybe like vain, and I'm going to use words that other people have used because I really am trying to drive the point home. Something more vain like aesthetics matters when you are building code and apps and platforms for millions of people to see. They're gonna care how pretty or not pretty this looks, you know? Some of the best languages that I recommend exploring if you are looking to get into code in general are JavaScript, Python, Swift, and SQL. Those are really, really great popular languages that are also not as difficult to learn as some other languages like maybe Java or C++. I started out in tech only knowing two languages, JavaScript and Ruby. However, I was able to get a job with a company that used primarily Python because by me knowing the general language of JavaScript, it put me in a place where it's like, oh no, like you are obviously a fast learner and you'll be able to learn this other language quickly because in terms of rules and things like that, they follow the same types of rules. Maybe they speak it in a different way, having a, let's say, comma instead of a semicolon. But yeah, you don't need to learn every language under the sun. Pick one and know it well because there are hundreds of companies that use that language, whether it be JavaScript, whether it be Python, whether it be Swift, which is the language used for mobile development, for Apple development, or SQL, which is great for people who are more data inclined, which if you are a girly girl and you're super detail oriented and you like to see cause and effect of things, then you actually might really like a career in data analysis. So SQL would be a fantastic language to learn. I'm gonna need to do this in quiet because I will mess up. So one moment. I've never been good at doing my eyebrows. I honestly didn't even pay attention to them until like a couple of years ago. Now, to go into how best to learn these languages, this specific tip is based on a girly girl, and that is to use Code Academy. I've used Code Academy a lot over the years. They are a fantastic tool because they really break things up into bite-sized, just non-overwhelming pieces. Code Academy is cute. Code Academy, they did a good job with it. They have a really fun, cute, clean user interface, while still, when you're coding, when you're using their lessons, you still obviously are getting a lot out of it, and it's making an impact on your learning, but it's also like, oh wow, this is cute. I don't know, hard things are more fun when they're cute. I might have done something there. I might write that down and put it on a shirt. I like that. I know there's a boy out there watching this that is seeing me say this and is like, I know that's the truth. And I'm like, be quiet. Okay, let me blend this side out more. Cool, let's set this bitch. Look up while applying concealer and setting the under eye. Up, 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 up. I'm gonna blend it more, don't worry. Okay, awesome. You know what languages to learn. You know what tool to use for your girly girl aesthetic and vibe. Now what do we do afterwards? We got the knowledge, used the right tools, now what? Third step is to practice with projects. This is a step I recommend always, especially if you are not a new person on my channel. You know I really say this a lot, but I always say let your hobbies and your natural interests direct what projects you do. Here's an example. I was in a coding boot camp from summer 2020, June 2020 to October 2020. One of the projects I did was called Rouge. It was a makeup web app that would recommend certain products based on if you wanted a nighttime or a daytime look. But let me say this real quick though. When I say build projects, I'm not saying build projects for other people, like the public to see. No, this project and many of my other projects were never intended to be seen by the public or used by the public. It simply is what you do to make sure that certain tech and coding concepts stick for you, and also show it to an eventual employer that certain concepts you understand and can do if you decide to put that project onto your portfolio that you then showed employers. I like to go back in to my under eye after I've set my entire face with just a tiny bit of powder. Especially since it's winter, I'm not gonna use too much. And I don't really blend it too much because I want it to like kind of naturally seep into my skin. And then after I'm done doing my eyeshadow, I'll see what's left over and blend. Okay, see, super subtle. You can see kind of the harsh line right here. And so after I do my eyeshadow, I'll go back. Okay, back to Rouge. In Rouge, what you would do as a user is you would get onto the app. It was a web app built with JavaScript, React, Ruby, and Ruby on Rails. React is a framework for JavaScript. Ruby on Rails is a framework for Ruby, and framework really just means the calculator version where there's long division and there's a calculator. So JavaScript and Ruby are the long division, long multiplication, and then the framework is the calculator. So it really just allows for faster development if you know how to use it the right way, obviously. So a user would get onto Rouge and see a large amount of makeup products. and they would say, I want a daytime look by clicking, I believe it was like a button that said daytime or nighttime. So you'd click daytime or you'd click nighttime, and then those products would filter. And I know this looks wild. Give me a second. Trust the process. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. Yes, those products would then filter accordingly. When you saw that, like, let's say there was an eyeshadow. Let's say there was an eyeshadow you liked. You'd click on the eyeshadow and it would tell you all different information about the shadow. It would tell you the brand, the color, the description, and where to buy it. And then if you wanted to buy it, then you can click buy and it would take you to that brand's page. And you could create a whole like shopping cart within the web app of the products you liked most. Ooh, there's something in my eye. Something. It's shadow. It's definitely shadow. Okay. If I start crying, just move along. Oh my gosh, it's a red eyeballs are not what I was going for with this makeup look. So I'm hoping it resolves itself. I don't like this. Okay. Oof. Ow, my goodness. Ow. And so there's a really simple example of a project I did that I was led to simply because I wanted to do a project based off of my interests, and makeup is a huge part of my interests. People really liked this project too. Like, don't think that like because it's makeup or something that people won't be interested. No, people really did like this project. They thought it was really unique and fun, and from a conceptual point, really whatchamacallit, really like useful. Because do you remember like 10 years ago flipping through a magazine and saying like how to get from daytime to nighttime in like 10 minutes? And I remember seeing this video on like TikTok that was like, man, when I grew up, I really thought getting from daytime to nighttime was a much bigger problem than it was. It was much more stressful of an issue, because that was seriously a column in every single magazine I would read as a kid. And so with that in mind, I was like, yeah, let me do a daytime to nighttime type web app, you know? And so lean into projects that showcase your girly girlness, that showcase your love for fashion and makeup and shoes and aesthetics and like and glitter, you know what I mean? Showcase who you are through those projects, because that's one of the ways you can easily show people, hey, I am a self-proclaimed girly girl, and this is why that's so awesome, because look at what I just made. I haven't found a lip liner I really liked yet. I have tried so many different lip liners, but I really like Urban Decay's eyeshadow Heat. If y'all saw, that's actually what I was using on my eyebrows as well. But for my lips, I like to line my lips with the En Fuego. It's this like, I've hit metal, okay? So don't judge, but it's this one right here that I like to use for my lips as a liner. And then this is the one that I use for my brows. So. I cannot talk so much. I like to go in with my favorite lip gloss, Fenty's Heat in Hot Chocolate. Yeah, Hot Chocolate with an I. It's funny, I recently had an evening with some of my girlfriends where we made cocktails that represented like the friend we were assigned to. So I was assigned to a different friend and a different friend was assigned to me. And we showed up with cocktails that showed that person's personality. And the person who was assigned to me, she made her drinks like this really pretty plum color, because she was like, I love how like you always do your lips that color. It's very like you. That's what I think about when I think of you, and I love it so much. And so this was like 2 nights ago, so I'm thinking about it right now while putting this on. I thought that was very sweet. Okay, now let me put on my lashes. For some reason, I always I think it's because I don't want to put the eyeshadow brush away. So before I put the eyeshadow brush away, I always go to my lips, and then when I'm done with my lips, I go back to my eyes and finish off with mascara. I don't have the longest lashes. It's something that I will just have to make terms with in this life. Okay, so that's this eye. Some other examples of projects that you could do as a girly girl. One could be an outfit maker. Let's say a person needs to take pictures of the different articles of clothing that they have, and they label as pants, shirt, etc. Then create an app that randomizes on a very simple mindset, randomizes their different shirts and randomizes their different pants and their different shoes, and then boom, there's an outfit for them. To make it a little bit more complex, you can ask for things like, would you consider this a casual shirt, a more elevated shirt? Would you consider this a more loud skirt or not? That could also be something you put into consideration with that randomization feature. And so make 3 to 5 projects like that, portfolio ready projects like that. And definitely you can start off by making them more basic level, so it's not ready for portfolio yet. But once you get more and more comfortable, and also know when I'm talking about projects and whatnot, I'm not saying you finished learning and now you're onto projects. No, you simply learned enough to start tinkering around on your own and building projects, and then whenever you come across something you want to add but you don't know how to add, then go back to learning and go back to looking up YouTube videos of how to add things and why that works and things like that. And it's honestly a very big iteration process between building projects and learning just over and over and over again until you get to that project you want to add to a portfolio. And so after you have your portfolio all good and ready, it is time to start job hunting. Fun. I mean, it's fun because it's probably why you were doing this in the first place. And so to finally be at that stage is really awesome. Again, being at that stage once you have 3 to 5 portfolio projects is a really great step to take. But yes, now it's time to look for a job. And so what types of jobs are not only going to be inclusive of girly girls, but also celebrate them? There are tons of jobs in the beauty and fashion industry that very much need tech and embrace tech and have apps for their digital stores and digital experiences and things like that, and need those apps built out. And so who better than someone who knows makeup very well to apply for Sephora's developer program, because they need developers to make their tools of trying on different makeup looks without having the physical product. I'm going to put together a list of different companies and jobs that fit under this category of jobs in the beauty industry, fashion industry, some type of girly industry that a girly girl would absolutely flourish in. Other industries include industries in something creative. For example, Canva is a fantastic software company that would, I'm pretty sure, embrace a girly girl because they're all about aesthetics, all about art and creativity and colors and pop and glitter and all that. And so I'm going to provide not only industries and jobs within those industries, but also specific companies and types of companies that I think would embrace you with open arms. Let me do a final pat through for my blush that I just added because it is a liquid blush. My hands are just oof. I'm so glad I wore a white shirt, but whatever. But there we go, everybody. There we go, girls. That is my video on just your guide to tech while still being 100%, 1000% you, and embracing that all along the way. So I hope this was informative. I hope this was helpful. And please let me know in the comments what questions you have for me and what you'd like to see next. Thanks, y'all. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Again, my hands. Bye.